When Millie Bobby Brown and David Harbour stepped onto the Stranger Things Season 5 red carpet, fans expected awkward distance, or maybe a polite smile at best. Instead, the world watched them laugh, embrace, and pose like nothing had ever happened. It was a moment that instantly lit up social media, not because it was heartwarming, but because it came right after explosive headlines claimed Millie had filed a harassment and bullying complaint against her longtime co-star. Their hug wasn't just surprising, it was confusing. How do two people go from alleged tension to cheerful red carpet affection in a matter of weeks? That question became the spark behind a mystery that grew bigger every hour. Because behind this one emotional moment lies nearly a decade of complicated history, resurfaced clips, uncomfortable interviews, unverified allegations, and a final season release that Netflix wants to protect at all costs. And the deeper you look, the stranger it all becomes. The entire firestorm started with a single article from the Daily Mail. According to their report, Millie Bobby Brown, one of the most famous young stars in the world, filed a formal harassment and bullying complaint against David Harbour before filming for Season 5 even began. The article didn't hold back. It described pages and pages of allegations, months of internal investigating, and an atmosphere on set where things apparently weren't as warm as fans imagined. A source claimed that Millie felt uncomfortable enough to bring a personal representative with her during filming of the final season. It was the kind of detail that instantly fueled speculation. Why would she feel the need for that? What was going on behind the scenes? And why had no one noticed anything during filming? But here's the catch. Netflix didn't confirm the claims. Millie didn't confirm them. Harbour didn't confirm them. No one connected to the show put anything on the record. And that silence made the story even louder. People filled the silence with their own theories, stitching together old press clips, analyzing body language, and dissecting every interview the pair had ever done. And just when the buzz reached its peak, photos of their hug hit the internet. But to understand why that moment felt so intense, you have to go back to where their entire relationship began. Millie and Harbour met when she was just 11 years old, filming the very first season of Stranger Things. Back then, she was a kid trying to make her way in the industry. Harbour was a veteran actor who immediately took on a protective, father figure role in her life, both on-screen and off. He once said, "I knew her before any of this big fame hit. I have a real protective feeling for her," and fans believed it because their chemistry on screen felt authentic. Hopper wasn't Eleven's biological father, but he acted like one. Their scenes together carried the weight of a real emotional connection, full of warmth, frustration, and unspoken love. Millie once described their dynamic by saying they get angry at each other like father and daughter, and that the best scenes came out of those raw emotions. At the time, those comments sounded sweet, like two dedicated actors breaking emotional ground. But after the allegations surfaced, those old quotes hit different. Suddenly, people began reinterpreting their relationship with a more critical eye. Were those emotional clashes just part of acting or signs of deeper tension? Did fame, pressure, and long workdays make things more complicated behind the scenes? These questions would soon explode online because fans found clips that seemed, at least to them, far more uncomfortable in hindsight. As soon as the viral report broke, the internet began digging. It didn't take long for older interview clips to resurface, moments no one thought twice about years ago. One clip that went viral came from an MTV junket in March 2024. The interviewer joked about a Stranger Things-themed wedding, with Harbour officiating Millie's marriage to Jake Bongiovi. Millie's reaction? An uncomfortable, confused look that fans suddenly read as a sign of tension. Some people claimed she looked annoyed. Others thought she looked caught off guard. But no one could deny the awkward vibe. Another clip showed the pair at a panel where Millie talked about arguing like family, while Harbour looked unusually tense. At the time, fans interpreted it as a playful moment. Now? The comments section is full of speculation. Of course, none of this proves anything. These interpretations are just fan reactions. But the internet never waits for facts when a mystery is unfolding. Theories grew, rumors spread, and discussions about workplace dynamics overtook entire comment sections. And as all this noise built up online, A second story involving Harbour erupted at the worst possible time. While the bullying claims were gaining momentum, Harbour was already dealing with another public controversy, one that didn't involve Stranger Things at all. His ex-wife, singer Lily Allen, released an album called West End Girl. On it, she accused him of straying during their marriage, hinting at emotional and physical infidelity. One track, Dallas Major, included the lyrics, "My marriage has been open since my husband went astray." Harbour didn't respond publicly, but the timing couldn't have been worse. Suddenly, his name was trending in two separate negative storylines. Fans began questioning everything about his public image. Some saw it as a coincidence. Others believed the timing only added more weight to the Stranger Things claims. So by the time the Season 5 premiere arrived, everyone was watching to see what David Harbour and Millie Bobby Brown would do, and how they would behave around each other. And what happened next stunned the entire internet. At the Los Angeles premiere, fans expected distance, maybe a cold handshake, maybe no interaction at all. But instead, they arrived together. They laughed, they hugged, they stood arm in arm while cameras flashed all around them. Netflix even posted the moment with the caption, "David Harbour and Millie Bobby Brown arrived together for one last Stranger Things premiere." Millions watched the clip within hours, and reactions split instantly. Some fans felt relieved. "See? Everything was blown out of proportion." Others weren't convinced. "This looks like PR damage control." And others were simply confused. Why hug after filing a complaint? Because if the Daily Mail's story was accurate, even partially, this moment didn't line up with the narrative. But the public appearance wasn't the only shock of the night. When the Duffers and director Sean Levy were asked about the allegations, their answers raised even more questions. At the premiere, the creators walked a careful line. When pressed about the allegations, Ross Duffer responded, "We've been doing this for 10 years with this cast. They're family. Nothing matters more than creating a set where everyone feels safe." He didn't confirm anything. He didn't deny anything. He simply sidestepped. Director Sean Levy took a similar approach. He said a lot of stories floating around online were wildly inaccurate, but he didn't specify which ones. He also emphasized that the set is respectful and safe, but again, didn't touch the allegations directly. Fans noticed the pattern. Everyone was speaking around the issue, without ever addressing it head-on. Some interpreted this as professionalism. Others thought it was strategic avoidance. And then another layer of complexity entered the conversation. Millie's long history with bullying and public scrutiny. Millie has spoken openly about being bullied online, especially as she transitioned from child star to adult woman in the public eye. Earlier this year, she posted a video calling out the media for obsessing over her appearance and treating her growth as something unnatural. She said, "This isn't journalism. This is bullying." For many fans, her history made the alleged complaint feel plausible, not confirmed, but understandable. Millie has dealt with pressure and harassment before. She has spent years calling out toxic behavior, online attacks, and inappropriate commentary. So, for some viewers, the Daily Mail report lined up with a pattern of Millie taking action when something makes her uncomfortable. For others, the lack of official confirmation remained the biggest factor. Everything hung in a gray zone, half rumor, half theory, completely unverified. And that unclear, uncomfortable ambiguity is exactly what made the red carpet hug so shocking. Netflix is about to release the most expensive, most anticipated season of Stranger Things ever, the final chapter of a show that became a global phenomenon. The marketing machine is massive, the stakes are high, and the company cannot afford controversy overshadowing the release. This is why some fans believe the premiere moment was a calculated decision, a way to shift the conversation away from tension and back to nostalgia. While others believe the hug showed exactly what the creators said: family. A complicated, emotional family with highs and lows, but still bonded after 10 years. Regardless of where people stand, one thing is certain: Season 5 will now be viewed through a completely different lens. Every Hopper 11 scene will carry the weight of these headlines. Every emotional exchange will feel layered with real-world context. And that brings us to the final, most complicated question. Seeing Millie Bobby Brown and David Harbour hugging on the red carpet felt like the ending to a story. But in reality, it was only the beginning. A hug doesn't erase months of unverified allegations, resurfaced clips, awkward interviews, and unanswered questions. It doesn't confirm anything, and it doesn't deny anything. It simply adds another layer to a mystery fans are still trying to understand. Maybe the moment was authentic. Maybe it was strategic. Maybe it was both. What we do know is this. After nearly a decade working together, growing together, and carrying one of the world's biggest shows on their shoulders, their relationship, whatever it truly is, has always been more complex than the cameras reveal. And now, as Stranger Things prepares to close out its final chapter, fans are left wondering whether the story behind the scenes was even more dramatic than the one unfolding on screen.